Hey everyone, welcome back to Adrian's Crafts, and this is going to be the last episode of the Star Wars diorama. And we're going to start by making the last building that is going to go on the diorama, and then we're going to put everything together. Let's check it out. So here I'm first making the last building for the diorama. I'm using the classic aluminium bowl for texturing the foam, as this will be the outer finish of the building. And if you watch my previous videos for this diorama, with this method I showed you 4 different types of finishing for your building walls. You'll be the judge on which one looks better or it's more suited for your need. Making the building, I'm just cutting the walls and texture them with the bowl and hot glue them together. After the walls are done, I'm cutting the ceiling of the building, and it's gonna be based on the outer walls. For the ceiling I'm making a slightly different design, and I'm using another piece on the top, a smaller one than the ceiling, and then of course I'm using again a half sphere at the end. I'm adding extra features to follow the Tatooine design. So I'm just cutting some shapes and glue them onto the building. After the walls are done, I'm making the entrance in the same style as for the building in my first video. So I'm cutting an arch and just hot glue it on the building. To cover the gaps between the walls, I'm using the same filler I used for texturing in a previous video. Once the filler is dry, I'm covering the whole building in a mixture of Mod Podge and white acrylic. This will make the whole building in a lighter color and will help with the painting. And talking about painting, I'm gonna use for the whole building 2 layers of the same off-white acrylic. After the paint is dried, I'm using the same brown wash to coat the building and give it the same look as the other buildings. Here I'm adding the door, and as like with the other buildings, I'm cutting the door shape from cardstock, adding some outer layer for extra details, and glue everything together with the Mod Podge. Once the glue is dried, I'm painting with the same mixture of brown and orange paint, and while still wet, I'm smearing some black wash and then dry brush it with white paint once the main coat has dried. Now for the base, I'm using the same XPS foam as for the buildings. First I'm covering the foam with some sculptor mold to give it a rough texture. Once the sculptor mold has dried, I'm just covering it with some PVA glue to make it sticky. For creating the ground layer, I'm sprinkling a mixture of sand and grout. You can use this technique as ground cover for your dioramas to recreate the earthy texture, and depending on your diorama, just mix different colors of grout. So you first apply some glue, sprinkle the grout mixture, soak it with some isopropyl alcohol, then spray it with the scenic glue. I'm making mine by mixing 3 parts of water and 1 part of PVA glue, and just a couple of drops of dish soap liquid. Once the base is done, I'm adding the buildings, and I'm doing this by first inserting toothpicks in the bottom of the buildings and leaving out only the height of the base. So after adding the toothpicks to the buildings, I'm adding some tacky glue on the bottom to secure the buildings on the base. Once the glue is dried, the bond will be really good. So to make it more realistic, I'm covering again the ground with the sand and grout mixture. More importantly, I'm covering the gaps between the walls and the ground. So I'm using the same method as before. I apply some undiluted glue, sprinkle the mixture, soak it with isopropyl, and then scenic glue. Now that the ground cover is dry, the diorama is pretty much done. But it does feel empty, and to improve it, I just wanted to add some extra details around the shop. These are some stuff I made with a 3D pen and PLA filament. So we have a table with some fruit baskets on top, some crates around it, and a bread basket with the lid next to it. It did take a while to make this, but it wasn't that hard, and I actually enjoy making them. Maybe I'll do a video about making this kind of accessories for your dioramas. And that's the diorama. I just want to add some extra strips of foam on the bottom to raise the base and give it a better look overall. And one last thing I want to say is please don't forget to check out the Facebook page, because there I'm posting all the dioramas I made, and you can see better pictures and really appreciate the quality of the dioramas. As for the videos, maybe sometimes you won't be able to catch all the details and give you the real deal. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And what I want to say is I really enjoy making this one, and hopefully it's gonna be interesting for you as well. What I'm planning actually to do next, it's gonna be a diorama based on Lord of the Rings. I know I'm going for the big titles, right? So please stay tuned and keep watching the videos. See ya!